Greetings, friends. This Shabbos is the yahrzeit of Ruth Valenci. May she rest in peace. My wife's mother. Her Hebrew name was Rachel, but everyone knew her as Ruth. At the end of her long and active life, she was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. We literally lived there. To the credit of North Shore University Hospital, they provided very comfortable accommodations for us. We spent Shavuos there and 8-hour meals at the home of a religious doctor whose family kindly opened their home to us. My mother-in-law's neshama, her soul, left her on Shabbos night at the exact moment that my wife and I had finished benching, the blessing after the meal. We were eating in her hospital room. She was not conscious, but maybe she was more conscious than we were, for she was at the threshold of the world of truth. We sang Zmiros and said Divrei Torah, then we benched out loud, and at the moment, that exact moment, her neshama entered Shemayim. Why am I telling this story? Because, like Ruth, in the Megillah, which we just completed, my mother-in-law was a heroic woman. I will tell you from my heart that I look forward to Megillah's Ruth more than any other sefer, any other book in the Tanakh. To me, it is an emotional experience to hear the words of the great Navi, the prophet Shmuel, ring out across the millennia. I hear the drumbeat of Mashiach. Where we live in Yerushalayim, I have a minhag, a custom. Each day after Shachris, I walk across the street and into a neighboring public courtyard, from which I have a perfect view of the hever, the tomb of Shmuel HaNavi, Samuel the prophet, which overlooks all of Yerushalayim from the northern border. Each day I say, good morning to the great prophet, and I ask Hashem to send Shmuel HaNavi's spiritual descendant who will anoint Mashiach ben David, just as Shmuel HaNavi anointed David himself thousands of years ago. Hashem sent Shmuel HaNavi to Beis Lechem to anoint the future king. The prophet himself did not know who the king was, except that he was a son of Yishai ben Oved ben Boaz. Yishai himself did not know which son was the future king. No one believed it could be David, because David, unlike his brothers, was short and red-headed, and many people felt there was a terrible taint on him, so that even his own father doubted him. No one suffered like David. Quote, no shepherd of Israel lived through a life of such unrelieved vilification, challenge, and travail as King David. That's a quote from Rabbi Nosson Sherman Shlita from his new book, Perspectives on Kesuvim. Who was David? He was the mightiest of kings, the most pious of the pious, wisest among the wise, humble among the modest, and the most glorious of poets, who sang praise before God. Notwithstanding all this, no one suffered as much anguish in his life as David. From birth, he suffered anguish and affliction which did not leave him until his very last day, when his son Shlomo succeeded him. It was only then that the world came to recognize his greatness, and his enemies were finally silenced. That's a quote from Rabbi Eliyahu Ki Tov Zatzal. My mother-in-law, for the last 2 years of her life, spent almost every Shabbos at our home. She became Shomer Shabbos at the age of 90. She had lived her entire life up to that point in a secular world with secular friends. What enabled her to make the mighty decision to change Or where did she gain the courage? No one was pushing her, but she saw in our home the beauty of Torah, of her own volition. She overcame the forces of habit and peer pressure and took shelter under the wings of the Torah. This was no easy thing to do. It takes tremendous courage. Your old friends can deride you. They can make fun of you. This actually happened to us some 50 years ago when we decided to leave our upstate community and become observant. You can begin to doubt yourself. The Yetzer Hara will tell you you're a fool. A friend told me how old friends had once given her an ultimatum. Either give them up or give up Shabbos. Can you imagine? She chose to give up her friends and come under the protection of the one friend who never deserts us, Hashem. As a result, she and her husband have raised a magnificent family of Shomer Shabbos, children and grandchildren. My mother-in-law chose Shabbos, and Shabbos chose her. She left this world on Shabbos at the moment in benching where it says, quote, "Blessed is the man who trusts in Hashem. Then Hashem will be his security. I was a youth and also have aged, and I have not seen a righteous man forsaken. Hashem will give might to his people. Hashem will bless his people with peace." As we say farewell to the mighty Yom Tov of Shavuos, let us remember the legacy of Ruth Amoavia, who taught us down to this very moment that we can all choose life. Quote, and this is the end of Megillus Ruth, Ovid was the father of Yishai, and Yishai was the father of David. End quote. And I add, and David is the father of Mashiach. May we greet him soon in our days. Good Shabbos.